I'm here to teach you again. Chapter 3, like we covered in Chapter 2 on real estate marketing, and the code is BEG2225. And the last topic that we covered was the scope and nature of marketing, and we covered various aspects of marketing, social responsibility, and the responsibility you have to the community. Today, we are going to discuss, in our Chapter 3, we are going to discuss the marketing planning process. The marketing planning process. So what is a market plan? It is a specification of all aspects of an organization's marketing intentions and activities. It is what we intend to achieve. So for example, at MKU, what's the marketing plan for the year? We want to admit X number of students. We want to offer X number of courses. We want to do X number of things. That's what a plan is, a marketing plan. It is what the intentions of the organizations and what activities you want to achieve. And it is usually a summary document providing a framework that permits managers and specialists to undertake a detailed work plan. So remember, from the marketing plan, you can be able to do a work plan on what are we supposed to achieve. How does this affect what I do on a day-to-day basis to be able to achieve that goal that we have set in the marketing plan. So what should the planning process do? It should be based on, one, detailed knowledge of both the target market and the firm. So you must understand your business, and you must understand the market which you're operating in. Number 2, you must give sufficient detail of intentions to support the design and operation of all marketing related activities. For example, with this era of Corona, if you had a plan of door-to-door, do you think it would work? I don't think so. Because now, most people would be scared to even get the brochures from your salespeople. So you'll have to change that. So you have to be very cognizant of the design and plan, the operation that you want to undertake. So what does planning involve? Planning involves, number 1, setting of objectives, quantifying targets for achievement, and communicating these targets to others. So you set the objective, you quantify them for achievement, and then you communicate. So you cannot just set targets. For example, you can't be told that you're supposed to be achieving 10 billion and nobody told you. So at the end of the year, you have only achieved 2 billion. Nobody communicated. So you need to be told, this is what we expect from you, and this is how we expect it to be done. And then the next one that the planning process involves is to select strategies, tactics, policies, programs, and procedures for achieving the objectives that we have already set out. For example, I'll try and simplify it. Setting objectives. For example, if you have just joined university and you want to get a first class, that's an objective that you have set. How are you going to achieve that objectives? Once you have identified that, that's step number 1. Then number 2 is selecting the strategies. So what are the strategies to enable you to achieve a first class? For example, do you miss classes? Do you do your assignments? Do you attend lectures? Do you read? Are you a diligent student? Because that goes together with the objective that you've set. So that goes hand in hand together with marketing. So these are the objectives you have set. What are the strategies that you are going to use to achieve what we have set? So how do we set objectives? One of the ways is a statement of something which is measurable. So your objective must be SMART. It must be measurable, and it must be achievable. It must be realistic. It must be time-bound. What are those objectives? Objectives must be SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So if you want to achieve first class, it must be specific. It's a first class. It must be measurable. It's a first class. So you must get 70 plus for you to achieve that. It is achievable. Are you really capable of achieving it? It is realistic. Yes, other people get it. and then it is time bound. You will not achieve first class in 10 years. It's in 4 years depending on the kind of course that you're taking. And then we go into, once you've set those objectives, even as a student, you've set up the objectives of what you want to achieve. There are internal and there are external influences. For example, external influences are something like your parents, the economy, the government. For example, right now schools are closed. How does that impact you're getting a first class? So those are some of the things that, but this now we look at it from an organization perspective. How does the internal and external influences on our objectives? So one of the internal influences for corporates include corporate culture. Corporate culture is the beliefs and behaviors shared within an organization. So what are the core beliefs in that organization? And I would like you to identify what are the core beliefs within MKU. What are the things that when you get into MKU, you know that you're in MKU. What are those things that make our culture our culture? The second objective from an internal perspective is resource constraints. And when we talk about resource, it's not just about money, it's about time. It's about knowledge, it's about experience, it's about expertise, all that. Patents, plant and equipment, those things affect the objectives that you set. They affect their internal they affect internally what you can achieve as an organization. The other one is aspirations of staff members. Remember, in any organization, there will always be people who work in that organization. For example, when you come to MKU, MKU is not MKU without the people you find in it. It's not MKU without the teachers. It's not MKU without the guards. Without MKU, without the finance people, the cleaners. Everybody has a role. That is what makes MKU, and that's what makes organizations. So aspirations of staff members. So different staff members have got different aspirations. That will affect as to whether the organization will be able to achieve its objectives or not. And you'll be able to read that explanation in the notes that we have provided. Then we go into external influences. And in that case, for internal influences, maybe to just expound, in your first class achievement, what are some of the internal influences that will affect you? Number one is what you think of yourself. Do you believe that you can do it? Do you believe in yourself? Are you doing the things that you're supposed to be doing? Who are the people, what's the company that you're keeping? So that will influence whether you'll achieve your objective or not. Then external influences, we have competitors. So any objective must take into account of competition. What is the competition doing? Are they offering better service than me? Are they offering better product than me? If you do not benchmark yourself, you'll be selling a product that's already outpassed or outwitted by the competition, and your customers will start running away from you. The other external influence is customer. Remember, in this unit, we have said that marketing orientation is what we want to focus on, where everything we do is around the customers. Customers know what they want, and they know exactly what they are looking for and the kind of money or the price that they want to spend on something. So don't think that consumers or customers do not know what they want. So you must be very cognizant of your customers, knowing what customers want, knowing what they might want in future, and knowing what they will find less interesting in future. They are crucial issues. And especially with this digital age, you have to be very alert and aware. Then another external influence is government and legislation. We have seen within government legislation can shut down a business. A government legislation has shut down the country, has shut down institutions of higher learning, has shut down schools because of government legislation. So you have to be very aware of that. And whatever objectives you set, they must be legal and must be ethical. And of course, taking into cultural context of where you're operating from and the market in which you operate. And then technological advances. This is not just IT. When we talk about technological advances, it's not just IT. It just means advancement of something, a new way of making concrete, a new genetically modified crop, or anything that is new and a new breakthrough. Those are some of the influences that will affect the kind of objectives that you will have. So we move into, we are still discussing the planning, the marketing planning process. So we move into categories of objectives. So we have different categories of objectives. The first one is we have financial objectives. For example, we would like to achieve the 10 billion mark in terms of our gross sales. We'd like to achieve 1 million mark, whatever it is, the numbers that you want to achieve, financial objectives. And then we have philosophical objectives. What are philosophical objectives? Those are the things that we believe in. They are our core values. There are certain organizations that say they'd rather make a profit but not bribe. They'd rather make a loss and never bribe. They don't want, it's a philosophy that they believe in. A desire to be the biggest or the best, the most caring. What's a philosophy? What's your philosophy as an organization? And also you can have philosophy as an individual, that I want to be a kind person. I want to be this kind of, that's what we are talking about, philosophical. And then we can also have qualitative objectives. These are to do with the service levels. What kind of service do you want? Do you want an excellent customer experience, or what kind of experience do you want as an organization? And how do you make that experience an inherently organizational process and incorporate it into your processes and to your procedures? Then we go into a very pertinent issue within an organization when you're doing marketing planning, conflicts in setting up of objectives. Because remember, when you're doing objectives, you have different departments, you have different interests, and different interests want different things. So in the process of setting up objectives, to come to a common, to a consensus and agree, these are the objectives that we're going to work on this year, there has to be that conflict. So what are some of the conflicts in setting up of objectives? Number one is short-term profit versus long-term growth. So some people will say they want the profit, others will say let's invest so that we can grow in the future. And this would usually happen with finance. Finance want money back. Yeah, we give you 10 shillings, you give us 100. Yeah, and they don't want their 100 taken, they want to get back their 100, not to put into growing customers or into the future. So going for a quick profit is likely to sabotage longer term steady growth. The other one is profit margin versus market positioning. So sometimes you have to take a lower cut on your profit margin so that then you are known in the market. You position yourself in a certain way. But then that also becomes a conflict. We want a higher margin. We don't care about the market positioning. Investment in brand building and positioning the brand is likely to cost money, which of course affects the profit margin. Then the other one is direct sales effort versus market development. So direct sales effort is where you want to go and just send salespeople to make a quick sales and that's it. You don't care about the customers who bought, you're not following them up. But then also there's a longer term of doing market development where you get to understand your customers, who are they, what their needs are, and that can be a conflict between direct sales effort and market development. And then the other one is penetrating existing markets versus developing new ones. See, it is easier for you to stay in the existing markets because then you already understand the market, you understand what they need, and it is easy for you to make money. Vis-a-vis, to develop new markets, take longer, you invest more money, and those are some of the conflicts that arise when you're setting up objectives. So the other conflict is profit versus non-profit goals. So you find that most organizations would like to make profit, but also we have non-profit goals, like for example, being the best employer, right? How do you balance between making profit and being a best employer? Because if you focus on making profit and best employer, there will be a conflict. Because being best employer, it means you pay your people well, you give them other benefits that will also cost you money and hence consequently reduce your profit. So then that becomes a conflict. And then we have growth versus stability. There are those that want to grow the business. There are those ones within the organization that want to make the business steady. Let's stabilize. We don't need to go for growth all the time. So then that becomes a point of conflict. And then we have change versus stability. There are those who want to change. We need to change our product, to keep improving our product. But there are those who say, no, our product is good. We have our customers. We are making our money. Let's say where we are, stability. So also finding that balance as you're doing the objectives. And then we have low risk versus high risk environments. And remember, in economics, we say the higher the risk, the higher the return. There are those who advocate for low risk. So how do you choose between a low risk and a high risk environment when you're deciding the kind of objectives that you want to set up, and to avoid the conflicts that arise as you set up your goals? So we go into business growth. Again, remember, this is a part of marketing. Firms aim for growth rather than profit, since this ensures what? Survival. If you do not grow, you might not survive. If you're not growing, you might die. So as a general rules, most firms want to grow for the following reasons. Why would you want your business to grow? Number one is to protect against competition. If you become a big firm, if you become a big player in an industry, it's very easy, it's very hard for anybody to come and get rid of you. We have had within our country, and I'll use that example because it's public knowledge, Safaricom has been called a dominant player. And in fact, our members of parliament have tried to curtail its powers. They've tried to cut off M-Pesa into a different business unit and all that, so that then they cut down their powers as a dominant player. So if you become dominant or you become big, it's very difficult for competition to come and swallow you. And then also, why do you want to grow? To improve on economies of scale. So the bigger you are, the more efficient you become. So you're going to buy more quantities of paper, you're going to buy more. So, and you get it at a lower price. And even then, when you grow, you're able to serve customers better. So that is why we aim at business growth, improved economies of scale. And then also, when you grow, you have better control of the distribution networks. So you have more distribution of your products and even services. For example, if you're growing, even if you're a service firm, you can have a branch in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu. You can have Rwanda, you can have Uganda. So then you're able to better serve your customers. Then also, when you grow, you have more career opportunities. Because remember, even when employees come into organizations, they come with an intention. They come with their own goals. They want to grow. They want to move from one level to another. So if your business is not growing, it means even your staff are not growing. So we go into the marketing plan. So like we had earlier explained, that marketing plan is a document which often details the organization's marketing intentions and activities. And we go into what are the uses of a marketing plan. Number one is delivering strategies and achieving objectives, because a marketing plan helps you to know what are the objectives that we need to be achieving. So it's delivering strategies and achieving objectives. If the plan is well drawn, it should provide a clear blueprint for everybody. You need to know what you're supposed to achieve and how you're supposed to achieve it. And then also the other use of a marketing plan is implementing a marketing project. So for example, in this year, we are saying that we want to introduce a new course in nuclear energy, for example. How are we going to implement that as a marketing? Where do we go market that course? Who are our target customers? Who are those students whom we'll be targeting? Maybe we'll be going to these high-end schools where the students are getting good grades and they can be able to do nuclear, that unit that we want to do. So that's implementing a marketing project. Then also the other use of a marketing plan is monitoring progress. How are we doing? How well are we doing? The plan should contain information to enable people to know that they are meeting objectives. You are supposed to meet XYZ by this month. Where are you? You are able to measure yourself, the actual and what you have actually been able to achieve. The other thing that the marketing plan does is to help you manage implementation. You should be aware of what should be done, when it should be done, and who is responsible, and what other people are doing. So for example, in in our university. You know what teachers are supposed to do. If you go to finance, they know what they're supposed to do. Everybody knows what everybody else is doing, and nobody gets into somebody else's territory. That's very important to avoid conflicts in the workplace. Then we go into the other use of marketing plan is resource management. And this will enable us to direct people, money, and other resources that we have into proper use. So we are not we send you this week to Rwanda, and before we know it, we send somebody else to Rwanda. No. So that is not optimum use of the resources that we have. That's what a marketing plan helps you to do. It also helps us to do financial management. The plan should enable long-term financial planning in terms of incoming revenues and outgoing expenditures. The other use is that it should help us to measure success. The plan should enable us to know whether we have achieved what we set out to achieve or not, because it's already prescribed in the plan. Our next subtopic is the planning process. It has several stages. And the first stage is the corporate objectives are set. These are the overall strategic objectives. As an organization, you need to have an objective that you want to achieve. So, for example, you can say, we want to be the most profitable organization. That's a strategic objective. So how are we going to achieve that objective? So that's stage one. You set the corporate objectives. Then the stage two is conducting a marketing audit. So what you need to do is we want to increase our market. For example, a strategic objective, we want to increase our market share to 30%. You need to ask yourself, what's our current market share? So if you want to increase your market share to 30% and your current market share is 2%, how are you intending to achieve that? Is it realistic? Remember, goals should always be SMART, like we had earlier explained. Conducting a marketing audit, that is a snapshot of the company's current situation, and we shall learn later about this in the next chapter. And then stage 3 is setting business and marketing objectives. These are the overall corporate objectives, so there might be a sub-objectives. They might be either tactical rather than strategic. Remember, there is a strategic and there is the tactical. This breaks down the overall objectives into manageable. So you're able to say, we want to increase our market share to 30%. So that's a strategic objective. So how are we going to do that? We are going to go into more locations. That's a tactical objective, or rather a tactical strategy that you're going to use. Then stage 4 is the marketing strategy. So remember, we are discussing the planning process, the planning stages. So stage 4 is marketing strategy. It is about where we are going rather than about how we'll get there. Strategy is therefore concerned with determining where we should be as a business. Right? And then stage 5 is marketing tactics or mixed decisions. What sort of tactics do we want to use? Do we want to use magazines only? Do we want to use sales agents only? Do we want to use billboards? What kind of marketing tools do we want to use? That's very important. Then number 7 is the implementation. How are we going to implement? Putting the plan into action. There are certain times when you try to put into the plan that you have planned, you try to put it into action and you find that it is not working. It is at this point that you need to start knowing whether your plan was effective or not. And then the last stage is monitoring and control, or monitoring and evaluation. What we had planned to do, what have we achieved? How far are we? Are we going in the direction that we had envisioned? What are the adjustments that we can make? This is where you need to start making adjustments to your plan. So we go into further deeper into the marketing audit. And this is a systematic and comprehensive review of the organization's current marketing activities. It is a review. So you are reviewing what are we currently doing, and where do we really want to be. So the aspects of marketing audit. So we have internal environment. So that's an aspect of marketing audit, internal environment. This entails gathering information about the culture, social, and economic factors within the organization. What does it focus on? Number one, the marketing strategy. Number two, the marketing organization. And number three, marketing systems. Number four, marketing productivity. And number five, the marketing functions. We shall discuss this in detail as we proceed. There is types of audits. We have task or microenvironmental audit, and this one focuses on internal marketing activities like suppliers, markets, customers, stakeholders, and pressure groups. Pressure groups are people who hold your organization or your industry to account. And then we have macroenvironmental audits. These look at the elements outside the organization's control but influence the organization. This one we use the PESTEL, the political, the environmental, the economic, the social, and the legal, and the technological. That is the PESTEL analysis. Why is the audit important? It is important because you are able to know about the internal and external environment. You can be able to weigh about the resources at your disposal and what is out there in the external environment for us to deal with. This is the importance of audit. The second one is the SWOT, the strength, weaknesses, and opportunities within the organization that we can be able to utilize. Then the other one is organizational competencies and capabilities. This is about what we are able to do in terms of our skills, the people that we have, the competencies that we have. What is it that we are good at? What's our strength point? And then organizational resource versus capacity to deliver. For example, the audit will tell you you want to deliver a degree in nuclear energy, but you do not have teachers who are trained in nuclear. So that tells you organizational resource versus capability. Are we able to deliver what we are promising or what we want to develop? And then it also helps you with competitor analysis. We always need to remember that our competitors are not standing still. Whatever you do, your competitor can see you, and they are going to either outsmart you or they are going to be behind you. So you have to determine where you want your competitors to be. So this is a format of a marketing plan in summary. That's how it looks like. We have an executive summary. This is a high-level summary of what the key points of the plan are. And then remember, we had said about corporate objectives, so mission statement and corporate objectives. This is internal. These are the values that are guiding you. And then we have the situation analysis or the market audit. We have the PESTEL factors. We have the macro, and then we have the micro, right? Then we have a SWOT analysis, appraisal of win. SWOT is always internal. PESTEL is external. Marketing objectives, what is the plan intended to achieve? So those are the marketing strategies, and you can have different strategies. You can have matching or conversion, competitive strategies, growth strategies, market segmentation or targeting, product or brand positioning. And whatever it covers is all here in your notes. Then we have marketing tactics, product plans, pricing plans, distribution plans, promotion plans. And what they all cover is all in these notes. And then we have the monitoring and control, or monitoring and evaluation. And that marks the end of our lesson on the marketing planning process.
These televised lectures supplement our robust online learning going on our MKU online platform. You can view more on our televised lectures via our online platform. We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.